Hey, it's Brian with King Grizzly. I'd like to show you how to set up the Optimole plugin when you already have a site that maybe has some kind of image optimization going on. I just migrated a site from one host to another, and I would like to install the Optimole image optimization plugin because it and Short Pixel Adaptive Images are the two plugins I found that actually do something special when it comes to delivering images at the right quality size, and it's really helped my page speed score. So I'd like to show you how you maybe move from an existing plugin onto Optimal, and that's what we'll take a look at. So the site I just moved over is called tenshu.com. I've moved it to WP Engine, so right now I have it on a development environment, and I want to get my image handling changed over to Optimal. This site has got a bunch of shoe reviews I've been getting put together, and then also it's sort of like an SEO and Elementor test for me. It's just sort of like a sandbox for me to play with. So I'd like to change how images are handled. I have a plugin installed currently called Converter for Media. So that's what I was using on Static to convert images to WebP and AVIF. If you look at the uploads folder, so when I upload a file to WordPress, behind the scenes, WordPress is generating a whole bunch of different sizes because it's trying to create sizes that will hopefully work on different devices. I have an approach, which I'll link to in the description to another video, which shows how you can just have one file per image instead of having, so like this is one file here. I don't want these other five. I just want Optimal to deliver the right size image. And so on my server, I just have this one source image. In this video, I'm just going to show how to get Optimal going. I'm not going to show all the steps to get down to just one image, but I will link to that. So in terms of getting Optimal going, you do need to go to Optimal's website, and you can get their plugin for free, which I have it here. I have not activated it yet, but I just click Add New, search for Optimal, you can get it. You're going to need to go to their website, and it's free for up to something like 5,000 visits a month. So you can get a free account to get started. It can get a little pricey once you get going. It's been worth it for our agency, but you will need Optimal. You will need to get a free account on their website, and they'll give you an API key. But what I need to do first is I want to deactivate my previous image management plugin or my optimization plugin. You may or may not have one. I had one installed, so I'm going to deactivate it. It did a pretty good job. I think Optimal does better. So I'm going to go ahead and deactivate that. Okay, so I've turned that off, but I'm not ready to turn on Optimal yet. So at this point is when I will do some extra things that I linked to in this other video and involved with just making sure my site's only ever going to generate one thumbnail. But what we need to do is regenerate the thumbnails on our site. So I'm going to hit Add New. And I'm going to look for a plugin. I think it was called Force Regenerate Thumbnails. Yep. So what we want to do is just regenerate all the images on our site. So I'm going to install this little plugin, Force Regenerate Thumbnails, install now. Hopefully what will happen is it will now just kind of regenerate all the thumbs, but you maybe don't have to do to get Optimal working. I like to do it just to be tidy, especially because I am changing some settings around what size thumbnails get generated. So I'm going to activate this plugin, and then we need to figure out where did it go? Media, nope. Tools, yes. Tools, force regenerate thumbnails. So I'm going to come over here, take a look. I'm going to regenerate all the thumbnails for my site. Always make sure you have a backup before you do this sort of thing. I should have one from last night. Okay, so what it's doing now is it's going through my site and it's regenerating them all, and it will tell me the totals, like successes and failures. So it'll take just a few minutes here. Depending on how big your site is, it could take a little while. But when it's done is when we will turn on Optimal. I also want to show you what happens to my uploads folder since I have changed some things. So I'm going to open in a new tab here just while we're waiting. If I go to settings and media, you'll notice on my site, I've zeroed all these out. So these sizes are not going to generate. And then in my functions file, I've actually created some more code that basically just tells WordPress not to generate really any image sizes besides the original because Optimal is going to do that work for us. But we'll let Force Regenerate Thumbnails finish up, and then we'll turn on Optimal. So Force Regenerate Thumbnails is all done. 369 images processed, and they were all successful. So let's look at the uploads folder and see if anything has happened. So what I'll do, this is how it looked before, right? So I'm going to try to refresh this, refresh. let's see if these duplications are gone. If I did my code changes right, yes. So as you can see, now for each file, I only have one. So this particular shoe, the Adidas Ultra Boost DNA black and red, I've just got one. So I don't have, tons. So you can imagine the bloat on a larger site. And this site will become larger because I'm doing lists of 10 shoes and each shoe has a bunch of pictures. So now I just have one, best lem shoes, best marathon shoes. Very nice. So that worked in terms of regenerating my thumbnails. So I'm done with that plugin. So I'm going to go back to plugins. I can actually remove that plugin. Um, Pretty handy. So I'm going to deactivate that. I can delete it after this. So then what we want to do is we're ready to turn on Optimal. So I'm going to activate Optimal. And I can run through the settings I typically like to turn on by default. Okay, so let's find Optimal. Here it is. We'll go to the settings. Uh, so I'm already logged in. Just so you know, inside of your Optimal account, here's my free account. I'll get an API key. You can see how many sites it's connected to, how many images have been updated. Right now, I'm only using 3 of my 5,000 free visits per month. And it only counts once per user, I think, per month. So like if someone visits your site and requests an image on Monday, then they come back on Wednesday and request the same image, they don't get counted again. I think it's like per user, so it's pretty generous. So then what I need to do is back here in Optimal, I may have already configured this in the past, but we'll look it over. So what I like to do is I enable image replacement. I turn on scale images and lazy load. So I leave those on. Now, if you're willing to turn on their ad, their little badge, you can get 20, looks like 20,000 more visits for free. I'm not going to do that, but you could. So then we'll go to advanced. We're going to go to compression. I don't turn on these first few options. You're welcome to play with them. I'm just telling you the ones that normally work well for me. I enable AVIF. I turn on stripped image metadata. I do not like the auto quality machine learning. Instead, I like to manually set the quality, usually to about 80. I'm going to save that. And you can actually view a sample image here, so it will give you an idea of what will happen. It's cool. It's actually grabbing a shot from my library, so I can see. I think the left is the source and the right is the 80%. And as you can see, wow, I could probably go lower, but I'm gonna save these changes. Okay. We'll go to resize. Uh, I like to enable retina images. This is kind of a cool feature. They actually added it because of me, believe it or not. Sometimes you just don't want images to get bigger than a certain size because they would just take forever to load. And so this allows you to set a max width and height. I'm going to leave it off for now because I'm pretty careful about the size images I upload. Um, these I usually leave by default. Lazy load, I definitely want it on. I like to enable the generic placeholder, and I turn lazy load on for everything. So instead of excluding the first images from lazy load, I've gotten better page speed scores if I just say, look, lazy load everything. If an image pops on the screen a split second after the page loads, it's probably fine. I turn off native lazy load. I leave scale images on. I enable lazy load for background. I'm not sure. I'm going to try it for videos and iframes. I'm going to save that. And then I don't have any exclusions on this site yet, but if you had to, like if you wanted to exclude an image, you could by their file name, or there's different things by class, by URL. So if you don't want certain ones to get picked up, then you can do that. So now here's the interesting thing. As of now, Optimal, there's not like a button you click that says process all images. What you actually have to do is it will only process images as people visit the site. So this is a dev site, but if I refresh this page, what's happening now is Optimal is going to, on the first visit, it might be pretty bad page speed score and it might be a pretty slow load because like right now I don't have WP Rocket turned on. Um, Anyway, so Optimal, now what just happened is all these images, they went to the Optimal server now. And Optimal, next time somebody comes to this page, Optimal will deliver a perfectly sized image to that person's browser in the highest quality they can take. So it takes a few minutes. So the Optimal server now is going to be thinking about this page and processing these images. But in a matter of probably minutes, if I were to refresh this page, um, I'd be getting optimal served images, and you can actually tell if you inspect the code. And there is something I should point out. If you don't lazy load an image, like I'm lazy loading all images, and you can see that that wasn't terrible. Like if I refresh this page, I mean, it's pretty fast. Like you hardly notice. But the lazy load is nice because the SEO credit still gets passed back to your site. So if I inspect one of these images, this one's in a little carousel, so I'm not sure exactly what will happen. Uh, Let me see. This may not work well for a demo. There we go. So you can see the markup actually gets changed. You can see this is now coming from an Optimole server, but they write a header on the image to pass the credit, the SEO credit to my site, not to the Optimole server. That's only if you lazy load. If you don't lazy load, then I'm not sure that the image itself, that the SEO credit will go to your site. Like it's hard to see here, but um, this is my site URL for that image, and Google hopefully picks up on that. So Optimal is working. My image folders have been cleaned up thanks to the extra steps, which I'll link in the description. But now we should be set. If I go to my media library, I should still have all my thumbnails because I regenerated the thumbs. Um, you may or may not need to run that regeneration. You could possibly just install Optimal and run it, but it probably doesn't hurt to regenerate the thumbs. So hopefully that's helpful. I can highly recommend Optimal. Then, like I said at the beginning, I think that the other image plugin that I think is doing something comparable, I believe it's called Short Pixel Adaptive Images. You want one that takes the images from a server, delivers it at the perfect size and format that a person's browser needs. And that's truly adaptive versus just generating a whole ton of image sizes like random WebP, etc. You may get okay page speed scores that way, but I don't like the uploads folder bloat. And there are some image management benefits of going to something like Optimal for managing. You could actually offload all your images there if you wanted. Anyway, for what it's worth, that's how I moved from one image optimization plugin to another. If this was useful, please consider subscribing and have a good day.